Hello, everyone. Again, we are at Voice of Australians with my show Ikigai with Alina. Always reinforcing the concept of Ikigai is the reason for being, why we live. Everyone has a different reason for existing, for being. And today, we are discussing about how to bring the best in your life. And
Hi, my name's Bronwyn Halfpenny. I'm a state elected representative for the seat of Thomastown. I represent people that live in Lalor, Thomastown, Epping, Wollert and Reservoir. I've asked our local doctors to tell us what they think about the COVID disease and the vaccine. Every doctor has jumped at the chance without hesitation. They've volunteered their time because they care about you and me and our neighbourhood. Many of our doctors grew up here or have chosen to live here, and their parents are also here. They want all of us to be safe. They are the experts. Please listen to them. I have been vaccinated to protect myself, my community, those I love. I hope you do too.
We're all a bit tired of living like this, and we all would like to return to normal. However, to return to normality and to safety, we all got to try and contribute by getting vaccinated.
COVID vaccines protect us from a very serious illness which can result in death and very long-term side effects.
दुनिया भर में हर बैरूने मुल्क पाकिस्तानी का एक ही ख्वाब है कि वो एक दिन अपने वतन में अपना घर बना सके। आखिर एक घर कैसे बनता है? मिट्टी से? पत्थर से? नहीं, माँ हमेशा कहती थी घर घर वालों से बनता है, मेहनत से, मोहब्बत से, कुर्बानी से, लगन से और बड़ों की दुआओं से। मेरे साथ भी मेरे वालिदैन की दुआएं और साथ ही रोशन अपना घर की खास सहूलतें। बैरून मुल्क पाकिस्तानी अब दुनिया भर में कहीं से भी अपने रोशन डिजिटल अकाउंट के जरिए पाकिस्तान में अपना घर खरीद या पुरकशिश रेट्स पर फाइनेंस करवा सकते हैं। अपनी पसंदीदा प्रॉपर्टी खुद सिलेक्ट करें या बैंकों के प्री अप्रूव्ड प्रोजेक्ट्स में से चुनें। और सबसे बढ़कर ये कि अपना लगाया हुआ सरमाया जब चाहें वापस ले जाएं। रोशन अपना घर से अब आप भी अपनों के लिए सूद से पाक फाइनेंसिंग से घर हासिल करें। रोशन डिजिटल अकाउंट पे मजीद मालूमात के लिए आज ही स्टेट बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान की वेबसाइट मुलाहिजा करें। रोशन डिजिटल अकाउंट।
sorry, extremely sorry. My internet died all of a sudden. Hi, everyone. Extremely sorry for that. I'm Alina. Welcome back to Voice of Australians, reinforcing the reason and of show. Can everyone hear me? Sure. So reinforcing the reason of the name of show, which is Ikigai. Everyone has different reason for being, the reason we exist. And today we have a very special guest who I admire most. And to be very honest, when I invite someone on the show, I really prepare for the show. But today I have a list of achievement to go through because when I was Rashid going through your profile, it was so much to cover. And that's why I think I admire your achievement so much. So it if I try to cover all of those achievements, it will literally take me half an hour. So why not we start and we will touch base with the achievements, how you started and what you have covered. So I know you are the director and CEO of Evocovation, and you got so many awards. You have co-authored so many books and publications. So why don't you tell us how you started your journey of this much success?
I think first of all, thank you so much, Alina and Voice of Australians, for having me on the show. I really appreciate you guys bringing out the Pakistani diaspora onto the platform and highlighting their achievements and highlighting their work around what they have done in Australia. So, first of all, thank you for the team and thank you, Alina, for having me on the show. Um, yes, everything starts with a purpose, and understanding your purpose is the most important part of it. I had few stories behind why I am here and why I have done what I have done in my life. It actually started in 1989. I was very young at the time, 9 years old, and the people who are in that age group, they might remember one of the a sad incident which happened in Rawalpindi, Pakistan, in 1988. So that was 10th of April. I was only 9 years old, and Ojri camp. The sad incident of Ojri camp happened on 10th of April. Unfortunately, 180 plus people passed away on that day because of that incident. I was very young. Um, there was a very small primary school in front of my place, and I was homesick on that day when I heard these whistling noises going through the air. I knew something strange has actually happened. I didn't know. I couldn't kind of capitalize on what it really was. But the first instinct which came to me was I ran out of my house and I went to that primary school. The kids were crying. And at the age of 9, I helped 18 kids to reach their home and helped them, guided them to the safety. I think that instinct of helping and saving people when they are in danger or when they are in emergency was the first thing which happened to me. It kind of re-triggered few things in me when I saw Burke Street incident happening in 2017, and I think that kind of a start of reignition of that purpose of how to save lives, how to make sure that we got a system in place, or we got at least the protocol in place which can save people. So that's what brought me to the purpose and kind of reignited everything, whatever I was going through in my life.
So Rashid, if you can tell us what is evacuation about, which is your brainchild. And I know you got published or featured in Forbes 100, and I know we all know it's a big magazine. So how you got to that? Because so many people have businesses. So just enlighten us about evacuation.
What evacuation does, it's an emergency management and communication platform. So what it does in the front end of it, it has for the people who are not within that emergency, they're dealing with that emergency. It creates a blueprint of the building. So this is building based emergency management system, and communicates the people who are within that building. So anybody who's in that building has got the access to that app and is properly authorized will be able to communicate through those channels. And this is based on Australian standard of 3745-2010, which is an emergency management standard. So we have based everything on that. What we found that there was a gap in the market, not just in the market, but in the communication of those incidents. So when an incident occurs, people cannot communicate with each other as they should be communicating. Um, so we still are a 100 years old system, which we use, which is an Australian standard, but obviously it's a 100 years old system. If you would have gone through an emergency within like a fire emergency or something like that, you would have seen that there's a red phone which is sitting on the wall where you have to communicate with the chief warden. What we have done, we have replaced, if not completely replaced, but we are trying to get to that level where we believe that the mobiles app are a solution where they can provide the same sort of guidance, but in more discreet way. You're not talking to the whole building. You're only talking to the people who are in that emergency, and the communication is made really safe. So that was the idea, and because of that idea, it got legs in United Nations. So we become part of United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction Forum, where we kind of presented this idea of how you can communicate, and that become an early warning intercommunication system. So early warning of any hazard which can be communicated to anybody is a bigger protocol for United Nations. So United Nations really encourages companies to have that sort of systems in place. Like we got tsunami early warnings and all that. We got hurricanes early warning. We got flood early warnings. So what we do, we take these early warnings within that broader system and make sure that the communication between the people who are affectees and the people who are making the decision is smooth. So that's what kind of guided us to whatever you can call it, a startup fame or startup space being just opened up for us.
Wow, that's pretty good. And again, talking about your achievements, sorry, I have to reference my notes so much because, as I said, you have so many achievements, and you are an inspiration. So I really want to share your achievements as well. So you got awarded Top 100 Australian 2021 finalist startup executive in 2021, CEO Magazine, then CEO Commendation Award, runner-up of Innovation Awards in 2021. So this all, the pivotal moment or pivotal challenge, what was that you thought that your life changed, or you start getting achievement? I know it can't be one thing because the seed was sowed when you were 9 year old, right? And I always say that वक्त करता है परवरिश बरसों मौजे अक्सर नहीं होते हैं. But there should be something that you said that changed your life. So what was that?
I would not pinpoint on one time in my life where I can pinpoint this, say yes, this is what I was trying to achieve, because sometimes you are just on a journey, and that's what all you can do. You can just remain on the journey, and if you understand your purpose, you just remain on the journey, and the things will happen to you. The the exactly you said, मोजे खुद ब खुद नहीं होते. So the miracles don't happen by themselves. So what happens, there's something which is triggering something in the universe when you're kind of vibrating at that level. So when you're vibrating at that level, that one trigger is there for you to capture that moment, and then vibrate a little higher, and then you raise the bar a little more, and then if you keep vibrating, keep on that journey, then another frequency type hits, and then you takes to another level, another notch. So that's what I believe in. So it's not just a single moment, but if I look at it, you know God has its mysterious ways of guiding you. I became an emergency manager for one of the top 4 banks in Australia. I looked after 37,000 staff when I was an emergency manager. So I think that was kind of God's way of pushing me towards emergency management. I was guiding me. Yes, you need to stay on this course. You need to stay on this line.
Yes.
And I was just learning, and I was just making sure that I was learning a lot of standards across Australia, because everything within emergency management is really, really complicated. And because if it's a niche space, a lot of people need to really dig down to understand what this whole spectrum means. And that's what I did. I studied hard in emergency management space. Traveled all across Australia, learned all the Australian standards within that domain. I learned what the local guidance is, as of what are the state laws are. Like some of them has got building fire and safety regulations, what they mean for my system. So when I was creating all that system, I actually studied really hard. And I could have drifted a little away, and I'm really honest and bluntly honest in that. I might have drifted a little away, but that one incident which brought me back into this was the Burke Street incident. Um, I was just working. There was a Friday. I remember we all went out for lunch. All of the team went out for lunch. We were coming back, and we saw that red car, driving really, really fast. That irrational driving, which killed 6 people. We could reflect back on that and then say, we helped navigate through that operations of and the management of that emergency at that time. But that moment was a moment of realization that I should not stop. This is my journey. I must like continue on my journey. I should not drift away anyway. This is my task. I am here in this world to do this, and I must do this. And then I took that challenge, and by 2019, actually, quit job. I left the bank, and I started my own journey for evacuation, because by that time I already created evacuation as a prototype, and we were already on going towards the market and market test and all that. And because of the COVID, we couldn't do too much of that. But by 2020, the people in the market, because emergency management is, it's not a small market, but it's a niche market. When you are doing something in that, people will know that what you're trying to achieve, and I started presenting to people, and then my name was put forward to the top 50 Australian professionals, and that's where everything just got a snowball effect. That's what I said. You need to vibrate at that level, and the frequency just hits you, and you need to take it another notch, and that's what
Yes.
exactly happened.
True. And I love the way that you mentioned everything is butterfly effect, because I'm a big and firm believer of butterfly effect, compound effect, that if you give your best, everything accumulates and try everything guides you towards your direction or your destiny. And it's all about just getting yourself prepared, because I also shared that when the high time comes, it will overtake you the success side. So it's all about preparing yourself. So journey of entrepreneurship, although I'm not an entrepreneur yet, but I know it must be so much difficult. It's not a bed of roses. So what you say it, I don't think so it would be like when you launch Evocovation and everyone was ready to accept it. So what would you say, what was the biggest challenge you faced, and how you overcame that or made it a stepping stone to help you for success?
I think we're still on that journey. There is still a lot of, technology will always be the road of the future, and people will always think that, yes, it's really good to have technologies like these, but they people will still go ahead and try to slow down the change, because change is not comfortable. It needs to get you out of your comfort zone, and especially technological change. If the COVID-19 would not have happened, the work from home culture would not have changed. It would have been a slow progress. Maybe by 2025 or 2026, or maybe at the late of 2030, we'll be thinking about working from home culture. But it just triggered, something triggered to expedite that change, and that's exactly the COVID did. Uh, so people are not they're not going to accept the change really soon. So what that's the same hurdle. Whenever we go to these places, there are ancient systems sitting in there. There's ancient documents sitting in there, and whenever you're trying to change something, it will show a lot of resistance. And whenever I go to any organization, so I got now by God's grace, I got some really good clientele, and we are producing some really good use cases. So making it a standard for the Australian technology and emergency management. So we wanted to take Australia at that level first, and then we're gonna throw this solution to the world, and that's what my target is. There's another side journey which is happening, which you don't even realize, and that is when you come in as a migrant. It takes you a little bit of time to understand the culture, the embedded culture, and how to uh, share your journey and how to share your story, or you start sharing your hidden talents, because a lot of people will see you as of what your qualification is, that's your experience, and that's how you qualify. But there is few things hidden within you which will take a little more scratching from somebody to get you out of your comfort zone and say, okay, no, I can do this as well. Like if you are working in a technological environment, in IT, people won't know you got an Excel skill really really good unless someone throws a task at you and scratch the surface of can you work with Excel and all that. So the same thing happened with me too. um, but that's a generational I think qualification where people will start to understand, yes, these guys can do really good emergency management because some of them got really calm demeanor in an emergency because they've seen many. The people who came from Sri Lanka and southern part of India who have seen tsunami, I think their knowledge is vital for us to understand how tsunamis are dealt with. And a lot of people want to understand that. So I usually highlight those things in the multicultural affairs. And when I go into these forums in emergency management, I go and highlight these things that you need to really look at these migrant force as a hidden talent. You need to scratch those surfaces and find what we really have. They might be me having some sort of knowledge which is really useful for us, but because we don't scratch these migrant surface, we don't get to know these people. Same as with I was watching a game, just off topic, sorry. I was watching the game with Sajid, that India Pakistan game, and I got to know that he's really good talented cricketer. And then I scratched the surface a little bit more, and I found that he really understands cricket. But that knowledge has to be translated in some way, shape, or form for the people to know, yeah, this guy can be a real asset for the guys who need to be coached, and the guys who got the multi-language thing. Same thing happens with us as well. A lot of people don't understand. They see as qualification, they see the person behind that qualification and experience, and they say, okay, we treat him this way. That's not the case. The migrants have got a lot more to offer. And that's another story in the making as well, that migrants bring a new level, a new lens to your society. They see your society in a very different way because you are already living within it. You can't see those things, but we see it because we came from a different background. We look at it from a different lens. And that's what needs to be scratched off as well. People need to understand the migrants become that wealth of knowledge which can make our society a lot better.
That's
So yeah,
a very wise thought that you had just shared, that migrants or immigrants bring a diverse lens or different horizon of life, which is so much important to be seen through. And when I see that in different positions, different companies nowadays, top positions are actually run by immigrants, not just in Australia. Like, as we see all over the world, immigrants are making so much progress. But sometimes I have seen in sometimes our culture or a holistic view, immigrants don't consider themselves that much lucky or opportunities, that we don't sometimes have that much confidence in ourselves that we can do something. And as just seeing or taking inspiration from your story, that we don't require a miracle talent or something. It's always within us. It's about knowing within us what the life has taught us, because life teaches everyone a lesson, how what the world needs. As you capitalize on what you were suffering through, what you had seen, everyone can do that. So that was a really wonderful thought that people always often ask me, and they must be asking you how to start business, what to start, where to start. But it's not rocket science. It's just you have to identify the need in business. So that's it. um, and I really want you to conclude this by two things, by sharing a message to our youth, what you have identified, where we are lacking, where we are progressing. And the second thought of what's your ikigai, what's your reason for being, what keeps you motivated throughout.
There's two questions in there. Thank you, Alina. The first is the message to the youth, and I always tell them, look, you got to follow your passion. A lot of people just follow the passion without having a lot of experience. For me, I think the best part which could have happened is I worked in Australian workforce for a very long time.
Yeah, we lost your video. Is there any technical issue? I think there is some technical issue going on with Rashid. So, as I have always mentioned, it's about compound effect, about atomic habits. Every small step towards the direction of your goal counts. And as Rashid has made the challenges he was facing, the things life was throwing at him, he made. So there is a very famous quote: when life gives you a lemon, make a lemonade. So it's what life handles you, Let me just double check if Rashid is back or not. Hold on for a moment. He's coming back, so hopefully he would be back soon. There are some technical difficulties today, both my side and Rashid's side, so hopefully he's joining soon. So just going through the achievements of Rashid so that our
दुनिया भर में हर बैरूने मुल्क पाकिस्तानी का एक ही ख्वाब है कि वो एक दिन अपने वतन में अपना घर बना सके। आखिर एक घर कैसे बनता है? मिट्टी से? पत्थर से? नहीं, माँ हमेशा कहती थी घर घर वालों से बनता है, मेहनत से, मोहब्बत से, कुर्बानी से, लगन से और बड़ों की दुआओं से। मेरे साथ भी मेरे वालिदैन की दुआएं और साथ ही रोशन अपना घर की खास सहूलतें। बैरून मुल्क पाकिस्तानी अब दुनिया भर में कहीं से भी अपने रोशन डिजिटल अकाउंट के जरिए पाकिस्तान में अपना घर खरीद या पुरकशिश रेट्स पर फाइनेंस करवा सकते हैं। अपनी पसंदीदा प्रॉपर्टी खुद सिलेक्ट करें या बैंकों के प्री अप्रूव्ड प्रोजेक्ट्स में से चुनें। और सबसे बढ़कर ये कि अपना लगाया हुआ सरमाया जब चाहें वापस ले जाएं। रोशन अपना घर से अब आप भी अपनों के लिए सूद से पाक फाइनेंसिंग से घर हासिल करें। रोशन डिजिटल अकाउंट पे मजीद मालूमात के लिए।
जैसे हर डूबते सूरज के बाद उजाला होता है, वैसे हर डूबती उम्मीद को एक सहारा होता है। जरूरतमंदों की इसी उम्मीद का सहारा बन रहा है शाहिद आफरीदी फाउंडेशन, जो सेहत और तालीम के फलाही कामों में दिन रात मसरूफ है। चाहे वो कोहाट अस्पताल हो या तिराह में वाटर स्टोरेज टैंक्स, चाहे वो सिंध भर में वाटर पंप्स हो या लाहौर में मुफ्त तालीम के लिए स्कूल, शाहिद आफरीदी फाउंडेशन हर जगह मौजूद है।
इंसानियत के इस मैच में भी मुझे आपके उससे प्यार और सपोर्ट की जरूरत है, तो आए सपोर्ट करें शाहिद आफरीदी फाउंडेशन को और मेरे साथ मिलकर इस नेक काम में पाकिस्तान की खिदमत करें।
Hi, my name's Bronwyn Halfpenny. I'm a state elected representative for the seat of Thomastown. I represent people that live in Laylaw, Thomastown, Epping, Wollert and Reservoir. I've asked our local doctors to tell us what they think about the COVID disease and the vaccine. Every doctor has jumped at the chance without hesitation. They've volunteered their time because they care about you and me and our neighbourhood. Many of our doctors grew up here or have chosen to live here, and their parents are also here. They want all of us to be safe. They are the experts. Please listen to them. I have been vaccinated to protect myself, my community, those I love. I hope you do too.
We're all a bit tired of living like this, and we all would like to return to normal. However, to return to normality and to safety, we all got to try and contribute by getting vaccinated.
COVID vaccines protect us from a very serious illness which can result in death and very long-term side effects.
The vaccine has been studied in various countries and it's deemed to be safe and effective.
There's a lot of misinformation on the internet, but the best way is to talk to your GP or healthcare professional to talk about the vaccine.
Think about it. Please get vaccinated. Let's protect our community and let's get out of this pandemic all safely.
पोर्ट्रेट तो आपने बहुत से देखे होंगे, लेकिन कायदे आजम का ये पोर्ट्रेट पहली बार किसी ने बनाया है। जी हाँ, ये है कराची की अफशीन अंजुम, जिन्होंने मकरामे से बड़ी ही खूबसूरती के साथ कायदे आजम का पोर्ट्रेट बनाकर सबको हैरान और चैलेंज भी कर दिया। इस मेहनत के पीछे अफशीन अंजुम का पूरा 1 महीना लगा, जिसमें तकरीबन 1,25,000 इंचेस कॉटन की रस्सी का इस्तेमाल हुआ। इस पोर्ट्रेट की लंबाई तकरीबन 65 से जायद और चौड़ाई 52 इंच है। मकरामे से बने इस पोर्ट्रेट में तकरीबन 51,240 ग्राएं लगाई गई। अफशीन अंजुम ने अपने हाथों से तैयार करदे इन शाहकारों को ड्राइंग रूम, बेडरूम में लगाकर दीवारों को दीदा सेब बनाया हुआ है। अफशीन अंजुम ने खवातीन को बता दिया, अगर मेहनत, लगन और जुस्तजू हो तो कुछ भी नामुमकिन नहीं।
Thank you so much for waiting for us. Today is a day for technical glitch. Sometimes I have technical glitch, sometimes Rashid. So we won't be able to see Rashid for any more because of some technical glitches. But we would really love to hear the final message that Rashid, you were giving to all our youth, and of course your reason for being, your ikigai of life.
Thank you so much. And these technical glitches, they're another reason people are a little reluctant to trust technology at this stage. But I think one day will come when everyone will be really happy with the technology, the way it behaves, and then obviously emergency, because emergency is a very critical part of infrastructure which we use in Australia. So I think one day will come when we'll have enough infrastructure to sustain the emergency management on this scale with that technology. Coming back to the topic of advising the youth, I always tell them one thing: yes, follow your passion, listen to your inner heart as well. What your heart is telling you is the true story, and be honest to yourself. Because if you're not honest to yourself, even if you try to achieve so many things, you won't be able to, because you're not really honest within yourself to achieve that. So finding that purpose, like that, the concept of ikigai comes straight from that particular sentence too. Find yourself as of what you really want to achieve. If you want to achieve wealth, I'm not saying it's a problem, but yes, how you wanted to achieve wealth, you should have a clear plan of action. You should have a bit more knowledge around that. You need to have a bit more experience around that, and then you should go and try out. Experience can come, learnings can come, but the purpose of what you really want to achieve needs to come within you, and that's what you really need to read out. And if you want to achieve something, read it out loud. When I say read it out loud, means if you wanted to achieve wealth, you say, I wanted to be a millionaire. Like, I'm just saying it as this for the sake. If you wanted to become a millionaire, you need to say it yourself. I wanted to become a millionaire. You need to write it on the wall and read it every day. I wanted to become a millionaire. And when you read that, it reinforces that steps which you need to take to become one. And the same goes with anything you wanted to become. If you wanted to become a good person, just write on the wall, write on the mirror where you shave every day, or write on the wall where you get your makeup done. Write on something and read it out loud every day. And you say, yes, I wanted to become that person. I wanted to be that person. I wanted to become that goal, whatever goal you wanted to achieve. Just say it loud and then follow your steps to achieve one. For me, my ikigai is to save people, save lives. And I think I'm really honored that I'm on that journey. I've been put on the journey from the heavens above to achieve something, and I will follow on those steps till I die. So saving life is the motto I follow. I travel across the world now because of my engagements in speaking, and because I go and deliver the awareness about disaster risk. I go and speak to people who have been affected by disasters, and that makes me more passionate about distributing that awareness and making people more knowledgeable of when the disaster strikes. It doesn't differentiate, it doesn't discriminate between genders, between nations, ethnicity, race, religion. It does not differentiate. It will just come. What you have to do, what you can do within your powers, is to prepare, plan, and first of all and foremost, is be aware of that danger. And that's my purpose of life. That's my ikigai. Thank you, Alina.
Thank you so much, Rashid. You are an inspiration, if I have not told you already. And thanks for sharing your journey, inspiring people. It really helps everyone because after all shows, I get message that that show inspired me so much, and even this show has inspired myself so much. And it's so less people live for others, and you are one of those. So yeah, thank you so much. And everyone, thanks for watching the show. Hopefully you took so many things out of our conversation, and thanks for that. Good night, Rashid.
Bye, Alina.